Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to Walk Talk San Antonio Highs of the Week show. Obviously, I'm Thomas Bingham, joined alongside by Beyer and Producer Josh. We are the voices for sports talk in the Austin, San Antonio Hill Country area. Got a great program for y'all today. Obviously, we'll talk our personal highs of the week like we have since we started doing shows in this area for VYPE, but also we have some other topics to obviously discuss that are outside the high school local realm. So let's get to some of those. How's everyone doing today?
Thomas, I am good. I love starting the week on a good note.
This is a great way to start the week on a good note.
Yeah, well, we had Monday was Austin Bowie's Abby Smith. She's going to Auburn.
Yeah,
and
props to her.
We were able to get her rapid fire up, so people were you've obviously seen it now, and now our High of the Week show is a Tuesday show. That will be Tuesdays every week, so we get to start on a good note, man.
I know. That was really fun to do that. Obviously, we talked about her career a little bit last year on the VYPE Hill Country show, and I obviously decided to include her in our From the Bench interview series that we've been doing all year, and it was another athlete that had not been featured on that series, and especially since she's been an Auburn commit for a couple years and is still only a junior, so she'll be with the power that is Bowie softball for at least another year. So
right.
It was great to reconnect with her.
Well, if you want to tune in to that show and see Abby Smith's From the Bench interview, that is on Thursday, March 12th. So check that out. Thomas, what was your high of the week this week?
I had to think about it, but I'm going to say the fact that I got to go back to my old media stomping grounds at the Alamo Dome.
Yeah, you were at state.
At least like major stadiums, it might be like every stadium I've ever been to, the most credentialed place I've ever, been in terms of covering multiple events and sports and stuff.
Didn't we go to the Jerry World?
Yeah, but I've still been to Alamo Dome a lot more than.
Oh, there. Okay. You're talking about frequency.
Yeah. In terms of number of times, at least major stadiums, for sure, it's the most. And it's getting to that point where it might be just even including like high school and some other facilities, college facilities, it might be the most credentialed place I've been.
You did stats for UTSA football, right?
Yeah, during their first ever inaugural season.
Yeah, dude. So you were in at least 6 right there.
Well, and basically every year since then, I've covered at least one game.
Yeah.
Because the following spring, I did their spring game, also stats, and I've covered a number of high school games, state, playoff, regular season. So
you're familiar with the Alamo Dome.
Yeah. I've been there a couple times.
Yeah, just a few. Well, that's awesome, man. I am looking forward to. I'm going to do a nice little plug here. I am looking forward to Wednesday's show when we get to hear more about your experiences and the girls' state basketball from the Alamo Dome. So that'll be tomorrow, March 11th.
Absolutely.
Thomas, my high of the week, man. I pulled out the golf clubs for the first time in 2020.
Nice.
And well, yeah. I shot a 115, and that is now on record because I can't take it back anymore.
But you beat your competition. You have whatever you want to call it, that tournament, that round, whatever that get out, you won that. You beat who you were playing.
I really don't want to talk. I don't want to put him down like this, but because I have to, no. I'll just say this. It was north of 130. That's what I'll leave it at that. I don't want to give the whole number. It was his first time out, man.
Okay.
So actually, I think what happened, and I got to say, the buddy I was with, his name's Connor, and Connor was taking I've never seen a more accountable golfer, because he was counting strokes on every shot he took. He had a couple of shots where I was like, dude, just take the drop. It's fine, man. It's good. He goes, no, I'm counting it. We've got to do this the right way. So he kept me accountable because I was like, well, I'm not gonna not count my strokes then, because he's being so accountable. He made me a better golfer on Saturday. It was actually a lot of fun though. We were over at Jimmy Clay, and first time in 2020 to pull out the clubs. That's my high of the week. You can't go wrong.
Oh, you can never go wrong.
No, a beautiful day for it too. Josh,
a lot better than the last couple days' weather.
Oh, I know. Seriously, what is your high of the week, man?
I had a very hectic week, so can't really say I have a definitive one, but I can say there's something in the works that will be announced next week on the Highs of the Week show. So
very exciting.
So that's the Highs of the Week is to tease the High of the Week of next week.
You're working on something.
Exactly. So that's my tease.
That is a nice little tease. I sure hope that it's not my hiatus on spring break, because I will be unfortunately in New Mexico over spring break, so I won't be able to join you and discuss our weekly coverage. But that's not your High of the Week, right? No. Okay. See, I just had to check. Got to keep you honest, man. Well, a couple other things that kind of highlight our week. Texas Longhorn baseball and softball. Guys, I was at the baseball game on Friday, and a slow start. Cal State Fullerton played Texas, and they had, I can't remember the pitcher's name who started, but he had thrown 5 no-hit innings against Texas and only a one-hitter through 6.
Wow.
Let me tell you, I was telling my brother, I'm not going to come back to a Texas game this year if we're the first one out of the gate in attendance is a no-hitter against Texas. I can't jinx them that way. And then I said that, and thank God the baseball gods heard me, because, once you mention a no-hitter, it doesn't happen anymore. And so I mentioned it on purpose. And Texas,
to try to break that.
I was hoping, and
I'm demon, get it out.
The superstitious baseball player in me, and the Longhorns came out in 6 runs in the 7th inning, 1 home run by I think it was DJ Petrinsky who hit the home run. I want to say it was a 2-run shot, but they came back in the 6th inning and just broke the game wide open and never looked back. Swept the series, so that makes another sweep. They're 10-3 on the season, and Thomas, softball is crushing right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the top teams in the nation, and I know a couple weeks back they beat the number 2 and number 1 teams in back-to-back games when they were the number 3 team in the nation. So, yeah, I mean, Lady Longhorns, props. But I want to go back to baseball for a second.
Yeah, what's up?
Because that was a big series victory. Not only a victory in terms of winning the series against another power in this country in Cal State Fullerton, but sweeping after
them.
what they did the previous week, losing 1 of 4 games. Obviously, they went 1-2 in Houston, and then they lost at home against Arizona. Huge bounce back for the Horns.
Yeah, they also lost to LSU, and so they were.
I think.
And yes,
it
was Mizzou. They lost to Missouri.
You're right.
But yeah, so they had a quick, brief, rough stretch. I'm hoping they can continue this momentum, because I remember last year Texas baseball started off pretty hot. Not this hot, but they started off pretty hot, and the end of the year kind of trudged along is an even better word to use, because it was a pretty horrendous ending last year. But hopefully this year, the way they're starting, man, it's looking promising.
Yeah, you know what wasn't promising? The men's basketball team. I mean,
in the win streak.
I mean, look,
dude.
You know that there was a chance to come down from the high,
absolutely.
They fell. They plummeted. Like 22 point. I think it was 22 point was the end of the score. Loss to Oklahoma
81
State.
to 59.
Like they just you cannot come out that flat, knowing your life is on the line for an NCAA berth. I mean, they had like an 89% chance to make it if they won, and now they're down to like a 52% chance. Like, it's just an unacceptable performance. And yes, I know there's
at
only
home, on senior night,
and I know so there's only one senior and he's a walk-on, but it's still and I know there's only like 8 players on so very small bench or lineup overall because of all the injuries they've had, but
been hurt.
They just came out they came out and played like the Texas that we were talking about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
So man, now they're gonna have to probably at least win their first game against Texas Tech to have any hopes of getting in the tournament. I think if they lose, I don't see the committee putting them in, especially if they had lost maybe like a point or two, maybe. But then they get blown out like that by 22. I think if they lose this game against Tech, they're pretty much gonna be playing in the NIT.
I would be surprised if they lose and get into the NCAA tournament. Texas Tech's a tough one to crack too, and
that's why the win against Tech not too long ago was a big surprise.
Oh, huge! Yeah, the analogy of Texas just falling. It's kind of like they went skydiving and forgot to pull the chute because it just dud. And they moved it. By the way, they moved the Texas baseball game. It was supposed to be a 2:30 pitch, and the Texas basketball game started at 3. They moved the baseball game to noon, so that way students who wanted to go to both, or fans in general who wanted to go to both, could. And I think those who went to the baseball game, not throwing, I'm throwing shade. Those who went to the baseball game, they won.
Oh yeah,
they chose the better game. But Thomas, I think there's something else that kind of highlights the week, and that is our boy Tim Duncan.
Yeah, man.
And Pop's hiatus.
It obviously surprised everybody in the world that he would, put him in that position to be the technical head coach for the game, and he did it the whole Tim Duncan way, in the sense that after the game he was like, yeah, I was in the big boy chair, but it was a team effort between all of us assistant coaches, and but they came from behind. They were down a lot against Charlotte, and for them to come back and win, and for him to be probably the winningest coach in NBA history after one game.
Well, maybe not the winningest, but he's got the best. He's got the best percentage.
Obviously, it's just cool to say that with everything he's done as a player with that franchise, he is technically 1-0 as a head coach in the NBA, and obviously with the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah,
pretty neat stuff there. I was a little surprised that Becky Hammon wasn't in the chair, but I think we're going to see some big things from her in the coming years, because obviously I think Pop's on a 3-year
something like
a 3-year
that.
extension.
I think he just re-upped last spring.
Well, supposedly the reason Duncan was the head coach instead of Becky was that he was the one that scouted that game. That was what I read. Now, I don't know, of course, what is true and what's not true, because then that begs the question, a couple months back when Pop
was ejected.
And then was this kind of a coach by committee. So, so I don't really know all the logistics of that. But from what I was reading online, the reason was that, hey, Duncan scouted the game, so he was going to be the one that, was in charge of that.
You want to know my theory?
Go ahead.
I think that...
And I know what yours is. It's pretty good.
I think that they don't want... If they're going to make history where Becky Hammon is the first female coach for an NBA squad, they want it to be at where she's going to be that coach for the next game too. And it's an official... she's a full-time, this is my job. And it's not because this coach got ejected and then you assumed the role, or it's not because
this coach took a night off.
Took a personal hiatus or whatever, and then you assumed that person's job. It's you're hired to be the coach, and that's what you are, and you're going to be the coach for this season, for this game, for next game. I really think my theory is that they're waiting to make that history when it's her legit job she's hired for. That's my personal opinion.
Well, she definitely has the credentials. Obviously, was a great WNBA player, and was obviously a great WNBA player in New York, San Antonio, and has been on the coaching staff with the Spurs for a number of years. Led him to the Summer League title a couple years back.
Right.
And,
yeah.
So she has the credentials, and there's a reason why he hired her in the first place, or the Spurs did. But obviously he had a major role in that. Pop did. And so I think it would look really odd in the grand scheme of things if they would have sent her in this past week when Tim Duncan was named the head coach for the game, and then kind of take that title away from her, especially the same week as International Women's Day.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it would necessarily look odd. I just think that true to Pop and maybe the way the Spurs are, they're not looking to make history for the sake of just throwing that title out. I think they want it to mean something. And I truly think that Becky is the HC in waiting. I think she's the head coach in waiting. And when Pop is done, Becky Hammon will be hired, and that is when that history will happen, not before then, because they don't want it to be – I don't think that they want it to be where she takes this role only to relinquish that role in the next game. I think they're truly waiting to This is what's going to happen, and she's hired, and she's going to be the coach for the season. And I actually think that's kind of cool because it to me, I feel like that means more, and it's not just here's this title for a game, and then you relinquish it back to Pop. No, here's this title, and you're hired to do this job because you have, as you said, the credentials to do it. So I truly think that's what's happening.
The head assistant coach for the Spurs, and she has been for a while now.
Yeah. Well, Thomas, that was a good high of the week show. We packed a lot in 15 minutes, by the way.
Got some college baseball in, basketball, college, NBA, our personal highs. Yeah, we packed in a lot.
Which golf was mentioned in the personal highs. So the one thing we didn't mention is football. And, hey, the Texas spring game's coming up on, what is it, March? Is it this week? Is it coming up in the next couple weeks? I think it's March 21st, 22nd, something like that.
It might be.
Maybe. We'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's a show tomorrow, and we can follow up on that. So tune in, find out when we know the Texas game is. But I want to say it's coming up at the end of March. If it's not the 21st, 22nd, then it's somewhere near there. But we'll find that out. Anyway, Thomas, great high of the week show. I'm excited to come back tomorrow and discuss a little bit of our high school coverage and learn about your experience in the Alamodome. You want to get us out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, if you enjoyed today's show, definitely follow us on social media, VYPE ATX, VYPE SATX on Twitter, VYPE Texas on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me on all three of those platforms at TexanHN.
You can follow me at Evan_Beyer UT. That's where I retweet the show, and you can find the show in a one easy click away if you follow me.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JoshWack13. And then, more importantly, you can follow the VYPU program on Twitter. That's VYPU_A. On Instagram, that's VYPU. We always post, the articles they write and everything that they do. So, go and support that.
Yeah, and sign up for VYPE Campus, get extra coverage for your school and school district, and obviously get your daily sports coverage across Texas on VYPE.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Thomas Bingham, Evan Beyer, Producer Josh signing off.